Whenever you're ready.
Yeah. You want me to go?
Sure.
Welcome to 230 Dudes. I'm Antonio Harrison.
And I'm Charles Schuling. And in honor of tonight's episode, which is all about where the donkey and the elephant came from in politics.
Yeah, in politics.
Yeah.
Not just like,
No.
know, where the donkey and elephant originated.
Which came first. And also a little bit about where red state and blue state comes from. So it's a pretty cool episode. And we're doing this all because next week is the Iowa Caucus, which is the first primary in the country.
Yes.
And we thought we'd talk right now a little bit about what exactly a caucus is.
Yes, because I'm a little bit oblivious.
Yeah.
To the caucus.
It's a really interesting thing. Now, only 15 states do a caucus.
Okay.
So not very many of them. And everyone else does a primary, which is where you just go into a booth and vote.
Could you rattle off the 15?
No.
Okay.
No.
So California is a
I could not.
California is a primary then, right?
Yeah.
We go in and vote
We
for
just
who
vote.
we want.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So the caucus, they come in and give a speech?
Kind of. And,
Okay.
So basically, though, just to set up, is the primary is where you vote within your party, right? So if I'm registered as a Democrat, I go in and vote of the Democratic candidates in a primary. And then in the general election, I have candidates from both parties that I can vote for.
I've never voted in a primary.
Okay.
I just voted in a general.
So in a primary, you'd pick between Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and that other guy, Martin O'Malley.
Well, I didn't know you had to register a political party.
You don't have to. If you're an independent, you actually get a ballot with everybody on it.
Oh, okay.
But me, I'm registered as a Democrat, and so I only get the Democratic candidates in the primary. But for the general election, I would get, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton or whatever.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But a caucus is a different process. A caucus is more like a debate, in a way, amongst the voters.
Oh, amongst not the candidates,
No.
the voters.
Yes. So I've participated in one Iowa caucus, and I've actually observed others because I went with my parents many times. But you go into a room that is just people from your party. So it's a room, for us, it was a church basement because they offered up the space.
And it's open to anybody of that political party.
Of that political party, and it has to be within your area. Like
Do you have to come with like a registration card?
Yeah, you sign in just like when you go to vote here.
Okay.
So you have a specific polling place that you go to caucus, and then you show up there, and first, people talk for every candidate. So if you want to say something about Bernie Sanders and I want to say something about Hillary Clinton, we both have the opportunity to do that.
That would take forever if everybody wanted to speak, right? Is there not a set representative to speak for each candidate?
I think you can pick somebody if you want, or everybody can talk. I don't know. It goes for a little while.
I could just see it lasting like 8 hours.
I do feel like one of the ones I attended as a child went past midnight. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, it has a lot to do with how many candidates there are, right? So if you were in a Republican caucus this year, it'd be a lot different than the Democratic caucus.
It also would have to do with how big the population of the town, city, or state was, or county.
Yeah, but it's
right?
not everybody. You go to a polling place, so it's just a little polling district.
Okay.
So maybe 100 people or something.
Okay.
But once you show up, you talk a little bit about the candidates. And then this is where it gets interesting, though, because at least in Iowa, the Democrats and the Republicans have it set up different. Republicans do it with a secret ballot. So they write it on a piece of paper and then they tally it up.
Okay.
The Democrats in Iowa, they do it by physical bodies in parts of the room. So they'll be like, that's the Hillary Clinton corner, that's the Bernie Sanders corner. And then people go that direction. Now,
I don't know which one I like better. I kind of like having to face your choice.
There is an undecided corner.
Ah.
And then people from the Hillary corner and the Bernie corner try to get you to come over, Red Rover, Red Rover.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you end up basing it off of that, right? So you have to have a certain percentage to even stay in the mix. I think 50% is kind of what you need to stay in the mix. But if there are two candidates that have a large population, if both of them have 25, then they can also stay in the mix. So first off, the lower level candidates get knocked out, right? So we'll just say Democrat. So Bernie Sanders and Hillary both have a strong following. Martin O'Malley has like 1%. So the Martin O'Malley followers are going to be knocked out right away, and then they have to choose to join Hillary or Bernie.
They can't just leave?
Well, they could leave.
Okay.
They could leave too.
Okay.
And then the undecideds get talked. They get persuaded. You should come over here because of the healthcare thing, or you should come over here because I'm a socialist. And then it goes like that. And then you get delegates based off the percentage you have. So it doesn't have to be that everybody all agrees on Hillary in the end. It could be 70% Hillary, 30% Bernie, but it's still over the 25 needed. So Hillary gets 7 delegates that go to the next level caucus, and Bernie gets 3 delegates that go to the next level caucus.
And what's the next level caucus? Like a county?
I believe it's a county,
Okay.
and then it's a state. So there's actually 3, and the state one isn't until June. But it's just this initial caucus that's the big deal in Iowa.
Wow.
Yes.
I had no idea that existed.
It's bizarre. But it's also interesting that the Republicans do it totally differently. They just write it on a piece of paper, and then they talk a little bit, and then they do another secret ballot, and then another secret ballot. They don't stand in corners. But in Iowa, for Democrats, it's a really vocal process.
Do you feel like that matches the political party's stereotype or stereotypical behavior?
Between Democrats and Republicans?
Yeah.
Possibly. Possibly.
Right? A little bit, but
Little bit.
also I could see it being flipped as well. Where the Democrats do a secret ballot and the Republicans are the ones enticing
Yeah.
people. Like, that's a really interesting, weird, and quirky
Process.
event,
Yep.
process.
The process goes all the way back to the early American stages, like the late 1700s, the caucus process. And now only a handful of states still do it, and they all do it differently. So in some states, it might be all the secret ballots for both parties. Each state's party decides how they want to do it. But the Democrats in Iowa have always kept it with basically the original 1796 process or whatever, where you move to a different side of the room and then try to get people to join your group.
I would assume the 15 caucus states are states with smaller populations for practical issues.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I'm not positive. Although I do know that Texas has some sort of hybrid process where it's a voting and a caucus. It's like 30% of their delegates come from caucuses and 70% of their delegates come from voting or something like that. And then, of course, once the state has decided as a whole, so for Iowa it would be in June after the state caucus, people from that then go to the national caucus to represent those candidates.
I have to believe that Grinnell has held a caucus before, because there are tons of presidents who go through Grinnell Caucus.
Oh.
I mean, Jimmy Carter was one of them that I know of for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, interestingly, Jimmy Carter wasn't a very big name until the Iowa caucus, which he won. And then all of a sudden he was national news and then actually won the presidency. But he wasn't a leading contender going into the Iowa caucus. But he was a Southern guy with faith and farming roots. And
that works for Iowa.
You bring that into Iowa and you're good to go.
You're good to go.
So that's kind of an interesting name that you brought up there.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's the caucus and specifically the Iowa caucus.
Yeah, and that is next week, and we would like to remind everybody to vote. It does matter. If you're not voting for the candidate you want, vote against the candidate you don't.
Yep.
If you don't want Donald Trump to win, then vote for a Democrat.
And check it out tonight, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 230dudes.com, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker. We'll be talking about the origin of the donkey and elephant as mascots for the political party, as well as where the blue and red states come from, and just kind of that background history, in case you were wondering.
It's good stuff. Thanks for watching.
I felt like that was one of our better videos as well.
I felt like I was talking really